definitely have to be on top of it. You definitely have to learn all the new technology that comes into the printing business. And that's really the beauty of DTF. There's really no more limitations.
In LA, where the dreams get printed, fills the wizard with the DTF we're minted. Switched up the game from screen, we ain't standing. Transfer superstars with the fabric we imprinted. Transfer superstars, yeah, we 10x.
What's up, superstars? Thank you guys for tuning in to our first podcast episode. My name is Matt. We're with one of our owners, Phil Lee. If you guys are either hearing or watching this podcast episode, you guys have either seen our videos or tutorials on YouTube. You guys know you guys are in the right place for DTF. So starting off this podcast episode, we're actually going to be covering up a lot of you guys' comments and questions. So if we haven't answered any of your comments yet, please just leave it in the comment section below and we'll definitely cover it up in the future. All right, Phil, just give us a little bit more of a background in the industry and where you guys are located.
All right, guys, my name is Phil, and most of you guys have seen some of our videos on YouTube and things like that. I've been to the shows and all that good stuff. I've actually been in the printing business for about 12 years now. Started off as a screen printer. We've run multiple brands, been in the Ink 5000 several times. So again, I've been in the printing business for quite a while. Getting into DTF, that was something that we jumped into about 4 years ago when DTF wasn't even around. We were doing DTG. I really hated the process, having to pre-treat shirts, having to deal with pre-treatment and all that good stuff. So it's just not something that I really liked, creating that project. And we jumped into DTF when printing on film was made possible. That was still a very early on process though. So there was a bunch of hiccups that we learned along the way, but we got really familiar with printing on transfers. Our customers that used to go to us for screen printing started requesting DTF, and they started doing more one-offs, and eventually we started selling transfers, and guys, that's where we are at today. So that's kind of the gist of our background.
So you basically are just going and updating along with the whole niche of it too as well.
I mean, you definitely have to be on top of it. You definitely have to learn all the new technology that comes into the printing business, and DTF has really come into the scene, has taken the industry by storm. And again, that's what we do now. Majority of the time is DTF.
And that's really good to see because a lot of companies also don't know how to upgrade or change and go along with the flow of it. So you coming from a screen printing background, you probably already know more than anyone else.
I did.
How to go into it.
And there's so much bad rap that people get with DTF. Mm-hmm. So as long as you had tried that process and you guys have introduced it into your business, there's nothing but good things to add. So again, I'm all about DTF and screen printing and all the other printing methods. There is a market for everything. So,
that's awesome. All right, well, going into it, just want to say thank you for that quick introduction as well. Just wanted to kind of give off to it. So our first question is from our first viewer. What software is best for creating and preparing DTF transfer artwork?
As far as best software goes, it really comes down to a preference thing. I would say really it's what you're familiar with. A lot of designers start off with different programs. Personally, for us, if you're asking me, we use a lot of Adobe products like Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. That's what we use to process the artwork and create the files so that it is print ready. But there is other programs out there that is web-based like Kiddle, Canva. Those are also great for beginners to get into it. But again, it's really comes down to preference. When it comes down to Adobe, we like Adobe because of the ability to control your color profiles. If you're creating the same design using our color profiles, it will come out the same. And we actually have a color matching process that we've developed that's on our website. We actually have a YouTube video on it that goes into it extensively to show you guys how to match color. So that is one of the programs that we use constantly.
Just diving closer on because I see there was another question revolving Canva and Kiddle. I just wanted to know more about, based on these programs, what is like Canva and Kiddle? How easy can someone just step into it?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Canva. Kiddle, a newer platform on top of that. It's really user-friendly. So a lot of times, the biggest hurdle that people have is the ability to not be able to design. So with Canva, there is with Canva and Kiddle, there's a lot of pre-made templates that designers create out of the box so that you can just basically jump in, edit text and add images there, and it is basically print ready. The only limitations that you people get with Kiddle and Canva is that some of these art is limited to resolution. So you're stuck with the resolution that the artwork is created in, and you may not have your 300 DPI that we like to print with. A lot of times as well as some people get fancy, they add gradient backgrounds to it, they add different layers to it. So that's also something that you need to watch out for when you use these pre-made templates. But as you see in our videos, we actually have a lot of videos that we use Canva and Kiddle on, and they come out with really good artwork pieces, and we're actually able to design artwork from scratch or designs from scratch.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it perfectly works for DTF then.
Yeah, it works for DTF as long as you're exporting it the right way. But there's a lot of programs out there. And then also another thing with Canva and Kiddle, it's web-based. So you don't have to use your computer to always save files there. You can share the files right on those platforms. Just make sure you have the pro account so that you can actually export the transparent file versions of those.
Oh, okay. All right. So they can get it more vectorized and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right.
We like those programs.
Yeah. No, it sounds great. On top of that too as well. So more on these online platforms like Canva, Kiddle, and even Cricut, which one's hot right now?
So definitely what's hot is going to be Kiddle. I would say that's the newest thing that's out there that's really popular. There's a lot of designers that are hopping on there and designing templates. I see new templates coming out on a daily basis. I would say Kiddle is the hot one. I'm going to dive into a little bit about Kiddle. These are nice because it's online. So you don't have to have Photoshop or Illustrator installed into your computer to use it. So you can hop from one computer to your laptop, to your iPad, all that good stuff, just logging in, and you're able to review your current account and also edit right on the spot. So again, that's what I like about Kiddle. That's why it's been a hot topic. Going with Canva, I would say Canva is not the best as far as printing resolution. I see a lot of uploaded art being uploaded that is lower than 300 DPI. So you're really bound and limited to the artwork that's uploaded by the designer. So I haven't seen as great quality when it comes to artwork creation. And when it comes to Cricut, that's more of a vinyl platform. I've seen a lot of customers that are used to doing Cricut because they're coming from a vinyl background. They're trying to jump into DTF. So the only platform that they're used to designing with is with Cricut.
So they see the brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're actually very, very limited with what they're able to create. And when they send us artwork from Cricut, it actually doesn't turn out very, very well. So I would personally actually avoid using Cricut platform to design with.
Okay. So going more towards your answer, how is the quality of artwork compared on different platforms?
So we like to print at 300 DPI. Again, sometimes I've seen a lot of graphic designers upload artwork that's not print quality 300 DPI. It'll be a 72 resolution. So it won't be as crisp as you can get it. So that's the limitation that I've seen with using programs like Kiddle and Canva. A bonus tip, if you are to use any of those programs and you are trying to download or create artwork from it, I would recommend exporting it as big as possible. You're going to need a pro account for that, but try to export like a 15 by 15 image. You want it big. Even though your image is not going to print like that size, you want as big as possible so that you can shrink down that image and it'll be better. You don't want to export something at, let's say, a 3-inch design, and then we're going to have to stretch it out for you. It's going to be more pixelated. It doesn't increase in quality when you do that. So again, start off big, and then we can reduce it down to size. So that's my tip on using platforms like that.
No, that definitely probably helped someone out today. Thank you. So the next question for our viewer says, what personalization and customization options are possible with DTF transfers?
It's a lot, actually. Now, a screen printer would hate hearing the word personalization and customization because as a screen printer, you have to create different screens for different artwork. Now, when it comes to DTF, you're actually able to create one-offs, anything small, sizing tag, personalized names for jerseys, all that good stuff onto a gang sheet and get it printed. And that's really the beauty of DTF. There's really no more limitations. Coming from a screen printer, back then when we were running multiple brands, it was tough to product test because you would throw something online, try to make some sales from it. And then once you make a sale, you got to print the screen and fulfill that order. We would sometimes have to create a screen just for one design if that design doesn't do well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so when you're dealing with DTF, you're able to product test. When you make that sale, you can actually print that screen or print that design on DTF. And if it actually ramps up and that does really, really well, then you can make that decision to screen print it. if possible. Right?
So like at a lower cost without having to print out a whole screen, which I don't know how much are those screens.
I mean, these days in California, a brand new screen is about $30 to $40, right? And even up to 50. I've seen some aluminum.
You might as well get 2 gang sheets.
Exactly. So that's really what it is. It's the ability to do smaller runs, one-offs in DTF, and not have to worry about that initial investment, getting so expensive.
Yeah, and the quality comes out great.
Great.
Almost even better. All right, well, so the next viewer is asking, what are some of the craziest customizations you've seen with DTF?
Craziest customizations that I've seen. So as far as the variety of things that you can press on, you're not just limited to certain materials now. You can do your cottons, your polycottons, your tri-blends, nylons, your full polyesters. We actually done it in these 10 by 10 pop-up canopies where they used to be very expensive to customize, and we're actually able to press onto these canopies. We've actually done it on a skateboard before, even though now UV would probably be ideal for that. The most wildest one I actually see that was very, very interesting and a good use case was one of our customers actually had a bartending service that they actually catered at people's homes and stuff like that. And they actually made apparel for their bartenders where they would have QR codes with their Venmo right on their shirts. So, if somebody
smart.
and it had like, please tip.
Yeah.
Like,
that's awesome.
so they would, instead of like asking for a tip, they would see that and they would scan it and get tipped on it. I've even seen it at a Chinese New Year event. Chinese New Year, people always give money for luck and all that good stuff. They had the cutest kids with a shirt and a QR code walking around, and people were giving them red envelopes.
And that is cute. Oh, man.
But those are some of the wild ideas out there, some crazy use cases out there. Even at a show that we went to, I don't think it was an ISS show, but it was another graphics expo show where Barbie was releasing their movie, and they had a QR code where they would scan it and their trailer would pop up right onto the shirt or on the phone from the shirt.
So
it's great advertising. Right?
That is incredible. I mean, a lot of people are just utilizing DTF. You could see how much it is involved, and it's like what, almost 3 years old.
It's about 3 to 4 years old now. From it being a stable production aspect. So yeah, definitely, it's gonna come a long way.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you for also answering that question for our viewer. Next question on the list is, are there any unique items besides shirts that you've seen or done for customers? Not for us in a particular YouTube, but like for customers themselves. Have you ever done any pieces for them?
I mean, really, as I mentioned, the canopy and the skateboard is one thing, but if you start from the head to toe, we've done hats before that has even been embroidered. And when it comes to embroidery, you can't really get these fine details.
Yeah.
So we've done projects where they've already embroidered the front, and we actually added DTF details to that, so that we can get the fine lifestyle texts on there. We've done graduation sashes. We've done ties for special events. Again, it goes around your t-shirt. It comes down even your jeans. So Denim Tears is a huge streetwear brand where they sell $600-$700 jeans. And again, a lot of that, it comes down to DTF. That's also done with DTF.
Yeah.
I've seen belts being done with that. I've seen shoes even being done. So canvas shoes is something that we've tried on. So your Chuck Taylors, you could actually personalize it. So for like a wedding, you could put the wedding date and
customizing that.
Yeah, really from head to toe. There's really no limitations that I've seen with DTF. A lot of it just comes down to technique, trial and error and technique.
Yeah, figuring it out.
Yeah, figuring it out, but it'll press.
Yeah.
These transfers are super versatile, these things. So
yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, cool. Next question, our viewer wants to know, what file formats are best to use when creating designs for DTF transfer printing?
I mean, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I say there's a lot of file formats that work best. We always like vector files because they're sharp. Somebody can create a small file, increase it and decrease it without worrying about resolution and sharpness and clarity like that. But there are some limitations when it comes with vector files. For example, if you have a PS file, SVG, even an AI file, if the customer doesn't raster it right or doesn't outline their fonts properly, then it's going to come out a little bit broken on our end. So that's some of the limitations. That file might contain too much information on there that might corrupt the file, or it might not be perfect to print ready. They might create it, they have some white text on it, and they try to put a black layer behind it so that they can see the white text. And if they don't uncheck that layer out, sometimes we're not able to tell if it's intentional or not. So again, that's the limitation when it comes to these SVG files, vector files, and things like that. When it comes to PNG, we like to use PNG as well too. It is very straightforward. Even though it is not completely a vector file, a lot of the times if you're exporting as a big file, it will come out as a very, very good quality image. Now, there is some limitations when it comes to PNG, which is color. So PNG prints in RGB, our printer prints in CMYK. So there's some conversion that needs to happen on our end in order to print it. A lot of the times, I would say 99% of the customers out there are not 100% picky on color. We do our best to color match and dial our colors down. But again, it's a different color profile that gets converted to CMYK, but it's going to print well.
Yeah.
I would say find a DTF printer that has the ability to print smaller runs. Get it tested first if you're going to do that small run before
So you
do
can
that
take
big
it out
run.
kind of thing.
Exactly. And then get that done afterwards.
Okay. Oh, well, revolving more on towards that question. So our next viewer wants to know, how does image resolution impact the quality of DTF transfers?
So image resolution is one of the most important things that we ask for when it comes to our customer submission. 300 DPI is always recommended. Again, 300 DPI doesn't mean 300 DPI at 3 inches. You should export it large, make sure it's 300 DPI, and it's going to print nice and crisp. Now, if your pixel art that you're uploading to, let's say, Photoshop is not quite 300, you get it from the web or things like that, it doesn't increase in quality when you create it on a 300 DPI artboard. So you want to make sure that that artwork starts off at 300 DPI so that it'll print nice and crisp. Anything lower than 300 DPI, you start to get a degrading in quality. If you're printing, let's say, for example, 72 DPI or lower, you might not have perfect edges. You might start seeing some pixelation. You might see some white edging that happens because the image is very jagged and very pixelated.
Yeah.
So that's some of the drawbacks. So again, I recommend 300 DPI minimum for resolution, but that's plenty for what you need to do to print DTF.
Okay. Awesome. Well, next question. How does DTF printing quality compare to traditional methods of complex designs? This viewer wants to add.
I guess when I hear about complex design, it's more of like artwork effects, kind of like grunges, gradients, glow effect, things like that nature, where it is actually tough to accomplish with DTF. For example, when you're dealing with glow and gradients, DTF really likes solid edges. So if you have any type of transparent or low opacity edges, it's not going to really contract really nicely. You're going to get some edges that are raw, that are not going to look really nice. If you're doing, let's say, for example, I had a cheerleading job this last coming week. They had a bunch of glow effect and they're trying to put on a black shirt. The glow effect was like a pink glow.
Yeah.
But when you print that out and you don't do a half tone or clean that up properly, that pink edge is going to have a white edge around it. If you put that onto a black t-shirt, it's not going to look very proper. So I would say probably try to execute some halftones to that. We have tutorials to show you how to do that. But that's some of the limitations that it comes down to when it comes to DTF. It's hard to print gradient glow effects or something that has a low opacity, things like that. But as far as fine details, again, you're able to capture pretty fine details when it comes to DTF. We actually even do neck tags. So neck tags are very challenging because they're very fine text that you put there as far as like wash, care, and all that stuff. DTF, you're actually able to capture that. Because especially if you're doing like white print, you can actually do very, very detailed white print. If you're doing colored print and you're trying to put a white backing behind it, it gets a little bit more challenging. You have some limitations. But white text, you can go pretty fine in detail.
Sweet. Awesome. It's because of the white backing too. As well.
Yeah, exactly. With white, we don't have to necessarily contract the artwork to put that white base behind it. So there's you can really print fine details with white.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for answering that question. Going on to another question. This question is, how do I prepare my designs for DTF transfer printing? And this viewer wants to know.
a couple of guidelines that we follow. First, make sure it's a transparent artwork. Most of the time, if it's going on a t-shirt, unless it's a photo image, it should be transparent. So stay away from JPEG files because those are not transparent. Resolution, again, 300 resolution. You always also want to export at a large file. It's easier to shrink down than to resize up. Prepare your artwork in CMYK color profile. Different printers will run with different profile. For us, we like to print with a Foreground 39. We have a tutorial on how to export with that color profile, and it is only limited to using Adobe products. That's how you get the most accurate colors. The other thing, as well as if you're sending regular files to us, that's fine. We'll resize it. We'll do gang sheet for you. We actually have a gang sheet builder right on our website. So that's also another option. Somebody can build your own gang sheet right on our website. So that's one way to prepare your files. If you're dealing with vector files like EPS, SVG, AI files, make sure if you're using customized fonts that you outline your fonts so they don't come out with generic fonts when they're exported to us. Make sure that the background layer is taken off. Any layers that's not supposed to be there is removed. Make sure you rasterize everything as well. So those are basically how to set up your files to submit to us. And if it's too complex and everything that I'm saying is too much, just a simple PNG file will work. Just submit that on our website. It should work and it should print pretty nicely.
Okay, sweet. Thank you. And also, if you guys didn't catch that, rewind it again, okay? Because that was pretty perfect.
Try to...
You did. You broke it down.
You know, it's... There's different levels to this, you know.
100%.
And we understand that there's not... What I'm saying might feel like gibberish to somebody that doesn't understand that, you know, design aspect of things. So, again, there's different levels to it. So I just want to kind of cover everything.
Yeah, you definitely did that. Thank you so much. So another question, you know, buying into the files, a viewer wants to know, what if my files exceed 100 inches?
Personally, for us, we try to cap off the gang sheet size at 22 by 100 inches. Anything that exceeds that, there's a really high chance of it, not a high chance, but there is a chance of it getting corrupted. Whether somebody accidentally put something in the artwork in that gang sheet that needs to get edited, it makes things more complex. I've also seen files that get corrupted. So somebody would spend all this time creating a 240-inch design and it would corrupt and they would have to do it over again. So we try to limit that to 22 by 100. It makes exchanging files a lot easier. If you're doing something more than that, we can always multiply that gang sheet as many times as you can. But we have a minimum of 22 by 12 and a maximum of 22 by 100 inches.
Okay, sweet. Awesome. So what about the durability of DTF transfers, this viewer wants to know?
Durability is great. I may seem like we are biased because we are transfer superstars, but again, we come from a screen printing background.
Yeah.
There is pros and cons for everything, but as far as longevity goes, DTF will last a very long time as long as you're using a good heat press that has a lot of pressure. The key is to really turn up the pressure, maximize. Don't use any automatic presses like a HTV rod or the new Vivo automatic press where it's not air pneumatic. So you're limited to the electrical usage, giving you a automatic press, which it doesn't have that much pressure. The bad rap that DTF gets is when it starts to wrinkle in the wash, premature wrinkling. That's what is the most common complaint that we get with DTF. And again, the simple solution to that is just not enough pressure. Don't use a Cricut machine handheld. It doesn't work. You know, there's a lot of advertisers that says use an iron. I'm not going to name drop them, but it doesn't work. It may work for that one off job.
Yeah, it might stick on there.
Yeah, you're doing a quick birthday. Yeah, you can get it done. Our transfers will come off on it. It will be perfect. But once you wash it,
it's not.
Shirt's normally going to shrink. That transfer is going to start not lifting off, but it's going to prematurely shrink, and it's not going to look retail quality. So again, pressure is the number one thing. Make sure you dial it down. We have videos that show you how to test a heat press for pressure. You know, watch those videos and learn a thing or two. So
yeah, I heard like the dollar bill test is good for any kind of press that doesn't have one of those nozzles that show how much pressure.
Yeah, I mean, we do the dollar bill test to really test out the pressure on different parts of the heat press. We put the dollar bill down, we press it, and we start tugging on each corner. That's to make sure that the pressure is even. You'll be surprised at how many presses press very sharp on certain corners, and then the other corner, it will just slip off.
Yeah.
So again, dial it down until you cannot lift it up anymore. That's really when you have a really solid pressure. So That's key.
Yeah.
Or use a heat press pillow. That also helps.
No, that's great. All right. So going on to our last question from our viewer wants to know, can you layer DTF transfers for a 3D effect?
I'm not 100% sure what that means for a 3D effect.
I think it means like layering, putting a transfer on top of each other continuously until it pops up.
I am not sure, or either that or to correct the image if we mess up on a press and you're trying to maybe put a transfer on top of a transfer. It will stick, but it's not recommended. I guarantee you it's not going to last long in the wash. Transfers stick well on porous fabric, the porous surfaces. So once you press on a transfer and you put another transfer on there, I doubt it's going to stick for a very long time. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Maybe if you were trying to do a quick correction for a small event, it might work. But I definitely don't recommend layering it on. That's not the recommended way to use DTF transfers. Create your transfers so that you have the intentions of pressing that in one shot.
Okay. And then let's just say if they were answering the other way to make a 3D effect, is that possible to do?
Make a 3D effect? No,
right?
it would be like puff.
Yeah. Okay.
It's probably limited to vinyl or screen printing puff.
Yeah.
DTF, there is no puff transfer technically right now, so yeah, you cannot layer it. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're just doing it quick or something.
I like how you said right now too, as well, how much it's updating. You never know. You really
always evolving.
It is.
I mean, I would say, a couple of years back, glitter wasn't even available on DTF, but now glitter is not something that we do because it actually contaminates the system. But if you have a dedicated printer that has a printer for glitter of some sort like that, then that is possible these days. So I'm hoping that the developers will create maybe some type of puff out when it comes out into the market. I'd love to be the first to know.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, I mean, you guys will definitely be the first to know too. All right. Well, thank you again, Phil, for answering all your guys' questions. Again, if there's anything we haven't answered yet, definitely put it in the comment section. We'll definitely dive right into it on our next episode. Okay, guys? All right. I hope you guys enjoyed everything. My name is Matt. This is Phil. You already know it.
We'll see you guys on that next one, right?
Yeah.